Grace and peace, everyone. In this video, I'm going to be showing you a Facebook Live session that I did with my husband, Brown-Phillips, on prophetic music and prophetic dance. I'm Brown-Phillips, and if you've never seen a video on the Free Dance Ministry resource page, then let me welcome you to this page and encourage you to please consider subscribing by clicking the subscribe button below. Okay, so this is a video that I did with my husband on the Gathering Connection Facebook page. Sorry, that was my phone. Gathering Connection Facebook page in February 2018. It's now March. But yeah, so you're gonna, you're gonna enjoy it. I believe that you will enjoy it. My prayer is that you do enjoy it. We do have a lot of fun doing the video, but the content is very helpful. And I'm sorry, my little one is here with me, and I gotta shoot this. So I hope you guys enjoy it. God bless you. Bye-bye. So you that have just joined us, welcome to the GCF Fellowship. We are here every Monday night except for the fourth Monday of each month. Facebook Live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight we're talking about prophetic music and prophetic dance. Now, if we were doing a video, this would be the place that it would cut.
Yeah. But...
and then we'll pick back up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me start. If that's okay.
Serious.
All right. So last year, CCD did a production called The I Am. And you know, when I get productions, they're from the Father. You know, I ask him for the name. I ask him for the feel of it. And normally, when he gives the name, I get the overall feel of what it needs to be. Because you know, your productions, those of you that are either ADs, artistic directors, or company directors, or put together productions, know that everything needs to carry that theme, similar to your motif of a dance. It carries that overall theme throughout all of the dances, throughout all of the songs, and everything is built off of that message or theme. So we got the I Am, and I always talk it over with my husband, even when we were dating. When we were dating, he was quickly apart.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Drafted.
He was drafted very quick.
Mm-hmm.
Quick into the production core team, because he is an anointed musician. He plays the saxophone and the electronic saxophone. He's also a composer as well. And it's funny because when we first met, one of the things that I was like, wow, he sings all the time. He creates like songs out of a moment all the time. No exaggeration, all the time. So now, like for the baby, like everything's a song with her. So now, because I actually do sing.
I cannot sing. I just sing to get the melody out. Make that joyful noise.
Right.
Yeah.
So we like harmonize with our songs now, but he was quickly a part of the production team because of his ear and sensitivity, the ear to hear music, his gift to compose, and his sensitivity to the Spirit of God. So when we were putting together initially the I Am, one of the things that I wanted to challenge myself to do, and challenge CCD, was to create, to have original music. That was one of the things that I always wanted to do, is to work with a composer and to put together a song that would capture the essence of what the production was supposed to be, or the essence of a particular song. And I know that those of you that are dancers, sometimes God gives you the message, right? It's not the song; he gives you the message, and you have to pair it with a song. And sometimes it's very difficult. He's not a dancer, but he can get it too. it's very difficult sometimes when you're trying to, you go through your catalog of songs and your library of songs. You're on iTunes, you're in all of these music libraries, you go on YouTube, you're trying to find the right song. I've opted for Christ Center's larger pieces to use instrumentals. I barely deal with words because it's just, to try to, again, match the message that you're carrying to the words of a song can be daunting at times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Really difficult. So I had the opportunity to work with my hubby because by that time we were married.
Indeed. Yes. Yeah.
We were married. So I had the awesome opportunity to partner with him. And we want to talk about that experience. And I'm going to be pulling on him as well as far as composing prophetically and what that looks like. So how was it like to compose for a dance group or for a dance ministry, or like how was it like for you for that?
I mean, first of all, I consider it an honor, simply because, not just because you're my lovely wife, but I think as any musician, okay, any true musician, we want our music to inspire other people. And when we start seeing that in action, that's what really makes our heart glad. It makes me feel like my job is done or it's well done, because creation doesn't just stop with what I've done. It should ultimately lead to something newer. It should lead to something greater. It should lead to something that's more beautiful. And so just like any music artist, even in the secular world, they're composing their song, they're putting the lyrics together, and then they see people putting together music videos. That's a big deal. And so that's how I felt, being so sensitive and totally devoted to the Lord in my gift, that someone would actually take that and use that and begin to build upon it, expand it, give it a bigger vision than what I could have given it. So we all see in part. We all see dimly. And, we take all the lenses, put them together, and we can start to magnify what the real picture is.
Yeah. That's awesome. So how we started was I don't even know if I gave you a sense. I think I just said I hear a sustaining note that would be throughout the entire song. I knew that it was going to be the first piece in the production. But I knew that it was going to be a note. Can you talk to us? Hi guys, we're joining. Is Philly in the house yet? Yay, Philly. Philly was late.
Fly.
That's right, Eagles. So our little girl converted us to Eagles fans.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
She's converted. I'm
converted. I had to take our picture down, and I'll be honest. I'll be real with you. We were Dallas fans. Don't hate now. Come on. But our baby Elena loves the Eagles
for some reason. Yeah.
She literally sat on this couch during the championship game before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And she watched them. She was cheering. But we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
Sorry. So what was it like initially? Because the only thing I gave you was a note. I was hearing a resounding sound. I think I did give you a key, or I tried to give you a key. But yeah, what was that like piecing it together?
Well, first of all, it was a little frustrating, which I think is not the first time I felt that way. I've recorded with other artists before, but to get that request from my wife, I'm like, okay, am I correctly interpreting or giving or providing what she was asking for? Because she was inspired by the production. So I still look at her as a client, even though, I'm producing music from the Lord. All right. But after just, really going back and forth, just playing something and sharing it with her, and then playing and sharing, and just working the creative process, just allowing that to work, allowed me to be able to find out what that note was. All right. And then begin to build on top of that. And I wanted to ask more questions, like, what is it that you wanted to invoke? And so I can talk about the title of the song now. Yeah, so it eventually led to the invitation. That's what the first piece was called. And so I began to just think about what it would be like to receive an invitation from the Lord to see, to his banquet or to his hall or to, whatever majestic aspect that he wanted me to be a part of. But at the same time, I was really feeling like this peace, some majestic peace, and just building on top of that. And wasn't necessarily like a fanfare, but I just knew that there had to be a level of anticipation that I was feeling in my heart when I thought about being invited to see the great I am. All right. I think that's really what I was picturing in my head. What would the Lord what sound would he surround himself with if he had extended an invitation similarly to how he extended it to Moses?
You know what, you said something, everything was great, but what stuck out was that you asked me what I wanted to invoke, right? Because we know that music can open doors, music can, like he said, invoke, and you can create a particular atmosphere with the sounds that are released. Can you talk about why you chose, like when you chose that resounding note? Does that note, is that note significant? Because I know that there are certain notes that unlock things in the spirit.
Okay, so she's right. I actually started doing that research a couple of years ago when I first received the invitation from the Lord to even start recording music. And one of the first things that I found was the healing frequency or the wholeness frequency. And so the invitation is actually written in that, or the bass note for that song is actually in that frequency, which is the key of C.
Is that healing, you said?
Healing. And there are even other songs that you may already be familiar with, like He Loves Us, or Hillsong's Oceans. And then, when I started studying these different frequencies, I noticed that there were certain prophets who were really good at calling out these key signatures, and I would identify and I said, whoa, he just called out the key signature for change, or she just started singing in the key of healing. And I don't know if she did that on purpose, or if they knew that, or if the Lord is really just moving through them spiritually. But I said, it's not a coincidence that there are certain key signatures that are played when certain preachers or ministers or prophets are actually speaking and singing at that.
Was one of them Prophetess Bynum?
Yes.
Yes, she started to sing prophetically in one of the services that we were watching online. I think it was online.
Yeah.
Okay. Online, and he recognized that key. He was like, "That's a release for this," and that's awesome. So not only, and what was happening with that piece was, not only is dance, not only does dance have an audible sound a sound that we can't hear. So you have sounds that are released with your movement, and then you partner that with the music that's chosen. If it's in a particular key signature, then you have an unlocking of so much in the atmosphere through the dance that, again, carries a sound. We just can't hear it. And then you have the intentional, specific, the intentionality, I would say, of the artist choosing a particular song because of the key signature, because that key or those melodies release something that can partner with the dancer.
Right.
I would encourage you. I'm just going to stop right now to give a word of encouragement. I want to encourage you, those of you that are dancers. It's not even about. I mean, it goes so much deeper than choosing a song that you like, than choosing a song that you yourself can worship to. It goes even deeper, choosing a song that you can choreograph to. Is that song? Is it at the right frequency that you need or that God needs to release what he wants manifested in that place or to that audience? That's why we have to be very sensitive in our song selection as dancers. And I would encourage you dancers as well, partner with a musician. Those of you have musicians in your church, right? Instead of just choosing a song, why not just ask the band, can you guys play this?
Yeah.
Can you guys play this in this particular key? Or allow them to be sensitive enough to select the key. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be like the song, right? Or like the recorded version.
And the thing is, if you are really talking to a truly humble musician who is skilled and is sensitive, then, we'll flow with anybody who wants to create something new. Like that's a treasure. That's an experience, and we crave those experiences. And sometimes I think some of the frustration in the church, in the traditional church, is that we don't get enough opportunity to actually create. And so partnership is so key. Partnering not just with the singers, but with the dancers, with the mimers, everyone. Like partnering with the pastor. That's a creative moment, even though it seems like it's so overplayed now. But real musicians recognize that and they appreciate that. So target them.
Yeah. That's I'm telling you, that could be something powerful. When I was a dance ministry leader, not the last position, but the previous one that I had, it was two positions ago. We did that all the time. We would, we had a song, so we had the recorded version, and because the atmosphere was so charged, the band just continued to play. And we would dance, not only 5 minutes, I mean like 10, 15 minutes, like doing the song almost all over again. And it released something completely different. Now, those of you feel, you just feel live music differently. That's not by coincidence. It's not that, I just feel it because it's live. There's releases that are happening in the spirit realm, and you're feeling the physical manifestation of those releases. And it charged the dancers. Now, we had already danced for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes to the recorded version. And now here we go. The band picks up and we're dancing for an additional 10 to 15 minutes. And we're not tired. Now, at the end, we were about to fall out. We was exhausted. But because of those releases that were happening, and I didn't understand, I knew musicality just from being a singer and notes, but I didn't know about the releases that happened, those specific key signatures. It's awesome. So
can I just tap into what you were saying? Because one of the things, revelations that God gave me about music in general, or worship in general, is that everything is constantly worshiping. All right, everything carries a song. Everything carries a frequency. It's the way the world exists. And if you look at all the different accounts of what God's throne looks like and what heaven looks like, they're all slightly different. They have some similar components, like the creatures around the throne, light emanating from him, things like that. But not every single account is exactly the same. And so it comes down to the writer to interpret what he saw based on whatever vocabulary he or she had at that time. And so it's the same thing with music. So let's just say the band is listening to a recording, dancers are dancing to the recording, all right? When the band picks that up, songs are eternal. Sound never stops. I don't know if you caught that in science class in school, but sound actually continues to travel forever. Forever. It just the sound becomes stretched out and distorted, but all that means it just needs to be compressed again. And so what's happening is when we as musicians tap into a recording, we actually just tap into a different interpretation of the song, and our interpretation might carry a different added frequencies. It might carry added flavor. And the Father is okay with that because obviously there are different expressions of him all throughout the Bible. And so that charge that you get, it really does come from participating with the worship that it has always been going on since the beginning, since before time existed. Remember, sound is a thing that's ongoing. And so we're just merely joining in and then reinterpreting that again. And it's such a powerful experience if you really think about worship that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's funny because I never heard it quite like that. I didn't know that sound continues. Like I didn't, one of the things that I think that we had talked about before is that it's similar to what you had said, but that was like so much deeper. But it was about how, the earth is worshiping, that there's worship going on 24/7 in heaven. And I start, like when we had talked about that, we might have got that from Crown and Throne Worship, maybe?
Perhaps.
Yeah. Kind of Philadelphia Tabernacle of David. If you guys don't know that ministry, they have a Facebook page, P-Tide, or actually it's under Philadelphia.
Philly Tide.
Philly TOD.
Yes.
It's a ministry in Philadelphia, 24, just
we will talk about that, but that is a ministry that you definitely want to connect with. The teachings that they provide have just, launched us into other areas. But 24-hour praise and worship that's going on in heaven. So I changed my prayers, especially when I do praise and worship dances, is Lord, bring me into what's already happening in the heavenlies.
Yes.
Let me enter in. It's like I don't have to create this whole thing.
Nope.
It's literally already happening.
Yeah.
So Lord, let me enter in to the praise and worship party that's already happening in the heavenlies.
Yes.
Let me hear that,
Yes.
Lord. Let me hear that so it echoes in my very being. And that is the praise and worship that I express through my movements. It's it's what's going on in the heavens, that eternal praise and worship.
Yes.
That right there will change your dance completely. If you just connect, if you ask the Lord, open up that realm to me. Do you know what I'm saying? Open that up, God, so that I can tap in and let my praise dance, my worship dance be an expression of what's already going on in the heavens. How do you, as far as music, is that the same?
Look, I went through that process. There was a season where I had a specific prayer list, and this prayer list would take me about 20, 30 minutes to go through. But at the end of my prayer list, I asked, give me songs from heaven. Let me participate in this divine worship. Let me participate in hearing these eternal songs that take me into eternity, that lets me experience the timelessness of your presence.
Yes.
And I asked that for about 4 months. And I'm telling you, one morning when I came out of my meditation, I went back to sleep at 5 a.m. By 4:30, I had a dream with a song in it. And I said, oh my goodness, it is official. I have been hearing from heaven. And I'm telling you, that wasn't the end of the story, because I went to a worship service on Friday. It was actually a resurrection, a Good Friday worship service, and I heard these chord progressions, and I said, "Oh my goodness, this sounds like what I heard in my dream."
Wow!
And so I started playing. I had already practiced it on my instrument, so I actually started playing it that night in the worship session, and I must have gotten at least 3 confirmations that they could see lightning and thunder coming from the throne when I was playing at that moment.
That's powerful.
So that was just letting me know that it's real. Yeah. It's real. And am I going to get that testimony all the time? No. Am I going to necessarily feel it all the time? No, but it's about faith.
Yeah.
I don't need him to show me a dream every time now that I play. I know that as long as I'm focused in on him, that he's my pride and joy, he's where I want to be, then this music just comes out and I don't even have to think twice. I know what my source is.
Isn't that something? Stay connected to the power source. That's why as worship artists, particularly dancers, we have to stay connected, because just like the musician can just tap into that, we have to make sure that we are always plugged in to the heavenly realm or to the Father, so that there's a continual flow. Yeah. You shouldn't have to get built up and do all this when somebody calls upon you to minister. You should be ready, because you are continually tapping into the power source. Or better yet, you've never disconnected.
Exactly. David was ready.
David was ready. David was always ready. Yeah. He was always ready. One of the things that I wanted to bring out too was the fact that because of the music, because of the invitation, before I say that, when you were, I would say birthing that, but when you were creating that and composing that, when you created and composed that, how was that like? Like, did you feel like heaven, or did you hear it? How did that come to be?
Oh, that's such a hard feeling to describe sometimes. It really comes from the pleasure of being with him, not just with the invitation, but with many of the songs that I've tried to compose. And I mean, when I did the invitation, it really was just about this immense, like this immense peace that I was just feeling, and just allowing that peace to give me the notes, because I really. Like, when I did the invitation, there really was no plan. There was no plan for it. It wasn't like she gave me a motif or anything. it was, okay, give me this note and then go from there. And like I said, I was frustrated at first, but that frustration had to go, and it was replaced with peace.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So really, like, this, I'm trying to make sure I say this correctly. Because one of the things I've heard about getting songs and getting sound is that prophetic sound is a sound that's ahead of its time. And so you kind of have to get in that place of stillness and step outside of time to really get music that's ahead of time and then bring it to the present. Because you really don't know what's coming next, if it's true, improvisation, if it's truly prophetic. So, yeah.
So you're saying, so improv helped us. So how do you do what you just said? How do you step out of time?
Okay, so meditating on scriptures that I know about. All right. Really, my favorite scriptures, it doesn't even have to be a scripture about peace. It was just like my favorite scripture comes from John 5, all right, which is I'm gonna just read it. I actually have it up on my phone. I knew that would happen, but very truly I tell you, I can do nothing the Son can do nothing by himself. He can only do what he sees his Father doing, because whatever the Father does, the Son also does. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all that he does. So, like, there's a love that the Father has when I come into his presence. And it really does give me peace knowing that I have a Father who will teach me anything that I want to know. He'll give me whatever I ask for, because I'm just in eager expectation of who he is. And that's really it. That's the drive. That has really been the driving force for me personally.
So stepping out of time, how do you, so it's meditating on the word of God that helps you step out of that place.
Yeah.
So when you say stepping out of time, do you mean like not putting limits on yourself, or what do you mean by that?
All right. So when I say step out of time, it's more like, it's bigger than just, I don't have anywhere to go, I'm just sitting in your presence.
So when you're trying to create, okay.
Wait, now I'm what's up?
Because you had said, when you created the invitation, you were able to step out of time to grab onto a sound of eternity.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? Like how did you do that?
I mean, it's so hard to describe. I mean, like, it's because I think your worship does that for you. Your worship does that for you. And I think the thing about worship is that if you're practicing your worship, not just practicing, but just living out your worship in such a way that if something bad happens, all right, and you still worship the Lord, you actually just stepped outside of the time of that event.
Gotcha.
If you're elevated far above and beyond whatever that principality was trying to do to you, if that's the situation you're in, so it's really about, like, if you're continually doing that, then stepping out of time actually becomes a little easier.
Gotcha.
Because it's a rhythm.
It's funny because like when people speak, like I have clicks in me. So every time it clicks, I'm like, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a rhythm.
It's a rhythm.
And I think that's what we forget, is that worship has a rhythm. And if worship is a part of our daily rhythm, then we just step into it automatically. And we're now asynchronous with what's going on in this world, and we're synchronized with what's going on in heaven.
See, that's because often I get emails, calls, whatever, but dancers ask me as far as choreography, how do I grow in choreography? Now, of course, there is a choreography process that's proven, and I actually teach that because I believe that it was given. It does provide wisdom and blah, 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 all of that stuff. But the most important thing is, just like what he just said, was stepping out of your place of impossibility, of the I can'ts, stepping out of your circumstances and going into worship, because in worship, it is eternal. Eternity is there. And there's a rhythm, there's a sound that's there. So if you're looking to choreograph, you have to step out of yourself You have to step out of the I can'ts. You got to step out of your situation. You got to step out of the impossible realm, the realm of the flesh that dies, right? That decays. You got to step out of that place and go into the third heaven, where it is eternal, and there is sounds there. There's a rhythm.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm doing now in the free dance ministry resource videos, I'm actually using my husband's song, The Invitation. And what I'm doing is I'm choreographing it initially with no music. I have no sound in the room.
Talk about a challenge. And
I'm just dancing. I'm hearing the frequency of heaven, going to that place of worship, and I'm dancing that out. Then when it's done, I'm putting the song on top of that. And it's just awesome. And I'm doing that as an exercise for dancers to know you carry a sound. Sometimes you don't need music. And it forces you to tap in to not spontaneity, not improvisation, not improving, but tapping into worship, into that realm and into the third heaven where there is music going on, and allowing your body to express that and allowing your body to articulate that, because you yourself are an instrument, right?
That's right. Yep.
Well, he's not a dancer, but we dancers have a sound in us already. This is creating a sound.
Yes.
Just imagine what would happen if you tapped into heaven, you tapped into the third dimension, the third heaven, and you release the eternal sounds of God. My God. Not only would your church be different, or your household, but your region, your neighborhood, your state would be different if we as dancers would just tap into eternity and stop doing these performance-based things, coming out of that impossibility mindset and go into the third heaven. And just like my husband was saying, just having that devotion, right?
Yeah.
But not disconnecting from the power source, but staying connected to that.
And let me just introduce like a real practical way. I actually got this from Toronto when I went on Toronto Revival. I bought what they had, a worship timer. All right.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife always asked me what that was. And I don't wear it now, but she always asked me what it was. Like, what's that thing vibrating? Like, did it just vibrate? And I was like, yeah. So I set like a worship timer to like every 7 minutes and 27 seconds. Cause I'm strategic like that, because, I wanted to be reminded to worship the Lord every 7 minutes and 27 seconds, which meant I at least praised the Lord or stopped and gave worship to the Lord 100 times a day. And then it got to the point where there was no timer. I was just doing it automatically. I didn't need the timer anymore. So like, it really does become easier. Like, it doesn't even have to be music. It's just, Lord, thank you, Father. Thank you, Jesus, thank you, Holy Spirit. And then I go right back to my business. Or even when I'm teaching in school, that buzzer would go off. I'd be like, sometimes that buzzer would save me from delivering wrath to some students. But I would be reminded of, I'm a worshiper of God. I'm a passionate lover. And so, I'm telling you, worship really does take you outside of the circumstances of this world. And it takes you out of time. It makes you synchronize with heaven. So, yes. That's a practical way.
Right there.
A practical way. Non-related to music, non-related to dance. Just a practical, sincere worship every 7. And you can just set the timer to 10 minutes, 5 minutes. It didn't matter. I just was being, crazy. Yeah.
What he just said, y'all gonna see that on my ministry page in a quote. Y'all gonna see that tomorrow. Y'all gonna see that one tomorrow. Yes. Oh yes. That was good. Because I can see a dancer tapping into that the third dimension, the third heaven, whatever you want to call it, the holies of holies, what throne room, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But just tapping into that place, because there is a sound there, there's a rhythm there. My God. All right, so let's check on our time. Okay, so lastly, and then as soon as we're finished with this point, we're going to take prayer requests, okay? If you have not done so already, please share this out, because we want to reach as many people as we possibly can. Don't forget, if you're entering in, to put in your city and your state and country. So I'm also going to share the invitation so that if you guys want to hear it, it is on YouTube. So if you guys want to hear it, you can. And then I'm going to share out the choreography exercise that I'm doing. That's on YouTube too. But the invitation when I first heard, like when it was done and he played it, I laid out. I'm not exaggerating. I laid out and basked. Is that a word? Basked, right?
Yeah.
Basked.
Mm-hmm.
He's so smart. In the presence of, and I just soaked in the presence of God, and it was just glorious. It wasn't, and it was different for me. It took me into, a place of peace. It took me into a place of rest, where I feel anointed. So I was start speaking in tongues. It took me into a place where you can cast your care down because he cares for you, where you can lay your burdens down at his feet. And it's like the song is called The Invitation. And what I felt is that the initial part of the song is like, cast your burdens down, cast everything that's holding you back down before you enter into my presence. I'm giving you the opportunity to lay everything at my feet, your cares, your worries, your struggles, your situations, because you're entering into the presence of God.
Yeah.
And then I felt like a door was opened, and without all of those weights and without all those all of that stuff, I entered into freely. And I was free to worship. And I just laid and cried. And then we used it during our prayer time.
Yeah.
It was our prayer music, that song. And when I prayed, I would put that song on and just, it was just glorious. It was glorious. And I was pregnant at the time. So sometimes I would put the song on and just hold my stomach and just pray over the baby. You know what I'm saying? But that song was just, and it is. And then when I brought it to the dance company, to CCD's company, we went out. We did. I said, you guys got to hear this. And I only played a little bit of it. And we just basked and was like, oh, and when it was time to choreograph, let me tell you, choreographers, those of you that choreograph for a group, I just started seeing things. Now that for me, I've been choreographing not as long as some, but it's about 15, 16 years now. And for stuff to just pop open, and I had the room to create, because I didn't have to worry about words. I didn't have to worry about trying to match things up so it makes sense to the natural eye. But I was able to literally express the choreography that I was feeling in my spirit, that was being released in the song. I was tapping into that eternal realm. And because the song was called The Invitation, and what I saw in my spirit was dancers in white carrying candles, walking, and then coming together, and then going out, and then coming together, and then a soloist. And we were able to depict that. And to choreograph it was so easy because dancers, they had to hear the song first, feel what the song was supposed to express. And I mean that, feel tangibly, because dancers are, we're tangible people. We're, you know what I mean? We're I don't want to say touchy-feely people. It's not that. But we're sensitive when we hear sounds because we try to echo it through our movement. That's important, dancer.
Yeah.
You got to watch what you put here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what anybody says, because there's a lot of different thoughts and different theologies and different things out there. You got to be careful what you listen to, because as a dancer and as an instrument, your body will try to echo it. Again, you have to be careful. Whether or not you realize it, your body will echo it, because you are resound. You're like a cymbal. Once something hits it, it's going to echo it. You see what I'm saying? That's why we have to be connected to the Father.
Yeah.
You have to put in your ears sounds that are from heaven, because again, when it hits you, you're going to echo it. And some of you dancers, and I'm just going to say this because I feel it, you're wondering why certain men and women are attracted to you. It could be what you're hearing that you're echoing that you don't even realize is coming out of you. You're wondering why you're attracted to not it might not be people, but certain situations and circumstances. Yeah. It could literally be what you're hearing is being echoed. It's being attracted to you, and you don't even know why. Because you're like, I have a clean walk. I go to church, I pray, I worship, I do all this stuff. why am I attracting the same things? It really could be what you're hearing that's coming into your spirit, it's going into your being, and it's being echoed out. So make sure it's from heaven. So that's a side note. But we were able to choreograph and just flow. It's like we were floating on top of that. And sometimes, you know, the dancers carry the message, but this time it was a beautiful partnership where, because of the prophetic music that he created, we were able to tap into that eternal realm and then echo that in movement. Like, he was echoing it through music and through his instruments, because he actually composed and played every sound that you hear in the song. But we as dancers were able to capture that and go into, you know, the same place that you opened up for us, and then release that sound through movement. That's important too. When you're selecting music, I now only choose like prophetic music and music that opens and unlocks, because that's the music that I dance, that I can hear and echo. But that was awesome. How did you feel when you saw the choreography?
Well, first of all, I only went to select rehearsals, and because I didn't want to be completely spoiled. But I think when I saw the first minute, I almost cried, because I think I was doing photography, just some promotional photography.
Yeah.
And then when I actually got to do the photography for the real show, I said, I didn't want to know what it looked like, because like in the past, when I've done photographies at her productions, I normally see everything, or like she's doing 2 productions. So I got a preview the first time, so the next time I know exactly what shots I want to get. And I came in completely blind this time. And I was just so stunned because, and it was funny because the places that I was stunned at, after interviewing and talking to some of your students who were in the dance, those were the same moments where they were stunned too, because they began to talk about the experience, what they were experiencing in the production that you wouldn't necessarily experience during the rehearsal. And I said, I know that there were some supernatural things happening with you guys in the production, because I could see it in the shots. We could see it in the shots.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away. I was completely, like I said, humbled. I was satisfied. It felt like I actually contributed something, that I released a message into this earth successfully, and that other people were able to interpret it and then magnify it and then release it. And I think that's it. You echoed it. That's what makes sound travel forever. It's the echo. I think you added longevity.
Amen.
You amplified that sound.
Amen. Amplified. I like that. I like that. I can see that. So, in closing, there's so many points here.
Yeah.
But I would encourage you to partner. I mean, those of you that have musicians at your church, chances are, and I know that, but they are anointed. They just like my hubby was saying, sometimes they don't have an opportunity to really flow. Do you know what I'm saying? But I would challenge you to partner with them. And I know in the back of your head, some of you may be like, well, I need to listen to the song. Do you really? I need to choreograph it. Like I need to hear it. Like, how am I supposed to know which part? Well, are you trying to interpret the song literally, or are you trying to express what's being released in heaven through the music? Are you trying to echo that? Well, if you're trying to do that, then you just have to connect with the power source.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't really you can't let that be a stumbling block. You may have to grow and mature so that you get to the place where fear is no longer an issue.
I mean, Daniel tried to get that dream, interpret a dream, and the king said no. Was it King Nebuchadnezzar, I think? But the king said, no, you have to tell me the dream. I'm not going to tell you first.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same concept. We have...
I don't know.
It probably wasn't. I don't know. There's somebody in the Bible who interpreted a dream without even having been told the dream. All right? Joseph. All right? Yeah. So, if he could do that, what makes it different for the musician or the dancer? What makes you shouldn't have to, you may not have to interpret. Why can't you just get it right there on the spot? Why can't you just get the expression right there on the spot?
Or just express it.
Yeah.
Like, express it. When you, that means that you can dance spontaneously. That's really what that means.
I hope I didn't confuse anybody.
It's okay. I don't know. I don't know.
Sometimes I go places and I got to bring myself back down a little bit, turn down.
Yeah, but you can certainly do that. I would challenge you guys, if you've never partnered with the musicians at your church, to do that. A great way is to, if you can, dance during praise and worship time. That's an awesome time that you can just tap in to what's already being released in that atmosphere and then begin to echo that. Again, you're an instrument, just like he's a saxophone player. I'm a dancer and a singer, so I can echo that. He sings too, but he's a composer as well. So, we are all essentially echoes, if you think about it like that, of what's happening in the heavenlies. But I would encourage you that are in worship arts, begin to echo. Just like those that paint prophetically, during times of worship or praise and worship times, they paint what they're sensing, what's being revealed to them in that moment. So as dancers, we should be able to express what is being revealed to us in that moment. Well, do you have any last things? That was good. But yes, partnerships. Partnerships. Resurrection Sunday is coming up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, you can do something completely different. You don't have to do what you did last year in the way that you did it year after year after year after year. But you can, put a demand on the anointing that's within you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Put a demand on. If you really want to see signs and wonders in your dance ministry, you have to put a demand on it. Just like you said. You said, sometimes to tap in, you got to go in faith. Yeah. You might not feel it, right? But, you have to have faith. You got to sometimes just go into the unknown, come out of your comfort zone. If you want that next dimension of your dance ministry, you can't do what you're currently doing because you would have been in that next dimension. Right. You know what I mean? Right. You would be there. Yeah. So you got to do something greater. You got to do something more. You got to ask the Holy Spirit, what is it? He may say, I need you to come up. I need you to do this. He may put in you or lay it on your heart.
Yeah.
All right. So I said, do you have anything left? And then I go off the talking again. The baby didn't wake up.
No.
Thank God. Because she would have been our special guest. We would have put her right here.
Yeah.
She gave her a toy and played with her and talked with you and played with her.
Yeah. Would have been some serious multitasking.
It would have been.